I don't even know where to begin. My hands are still shaking as I type this, and I'm sitting in a motel room halfway back to my parents' house, trying to process everything that's happened in the last 24 hours. For context, I, 34M, have been married to Sarah, 32F, for 6 years. We met in college, dated for 3 years, and everything seemed perfect. Sure, we had our rough patches over the last year. What marriage doesn't? But I thought we were solid. She took a job that required a lot of travel, and I've been working remotely as a software developer, which means we've been spending more time apart than together these days. Her birthday was yesterday, and I had been planning this surprise for weeks. She was staying at our house while I was supposedly at a conference in Chicago. I was actually at my buddy Mike's place preparing. I had ordered her favorite cake from that little bakery she loves 2 towns over, bought her a pair of emerald earrings she'd been eyeing, and was going to surprise her by showing up unannounced. The weather forecast looked dicey. A massive snowstorm was moving through the area, but I was determined. I started driving early, around 5 a.m. What should have been a 4-hour drive turned into a 9-hour nightmare. Whiteout conditions, multiple accidents along the highway, roads closing behind me. At one point, I was crawling along at 15 miles per hour with my hazards on, barely able to see 10 feet in front of me. I called her sister Jenny that morning to make sure Sarah would be home, and Jenny told me Sarah was having a self-care day at the house. Perfect. Jenny even offered to drop by with some wine, to make sure Sarah would be there when I arrived, which I thought was incredibly thoughtful. The last hour of the drive was the worst. My windshield wipers were caking up with ice, my phone had died, and I seriously considered turning around multiple times. But the thought of Sarah's face when I walked in, that beautiful, surprised smile, kept me going. I finally pulled up to our house around 2 p.m. The driveway hadn't been shoveled, which struck me as odd since Sarah is usually on top of that kind of thing. I parked on the street, grabbed the cake box and gift bag, and trudged through nearly knee-deep snow to our front door. I still had my key, of course. I quietly unlocked the door, excited to surprise her. I could hear voices in the kitchen, Sarah, and what sounded like her sister. I was about to call out when I heard my name. "Mark thinks everything is fine," Sarah was saying, her voice casual, almost bored. "He's such an idiot." I froze in the entryway, snow melting off my boots onto the hardwood. "So he has no idea?" Jenny asked. "None whatsoever. God, I hope he crashes. I could use the insurance money to finally get out of this mess." The cake box slipped from my numb fingers. The cake box hit the floor with a thud, and I heard them both go silent in the kitchen. My whole body felt cold, and it had nothing to do with the 9 hours I'd just spent in a blizzard. "Hello," Sarah called out. "Is someone there?" I should have turned around right then. Should have walked out and never looked back. But some masochistic part of me needed to see her face, to confront what I'd just heard. I stepped into the kitchen doorway, still dripping melted snow. Sarah was sitting at our kitchen island, wine glass in hand, while Jenny perched on the bar stool next to her. Their expressions would have been comical under any other circumstances. Wide eyes, mouths hanging open in perfect O's of surprise. "Mark," Sarah stood up so quickly her wine sloshed. "What are you? I thought you were in Chicago." "Surprise," I said flatly. "Happy birthday." Jenny was already gathering her purse, muttering something about giving us privacy. I barely glanced at her as she rushed past me. "How long have you been standing there?" Sarah asked after the front door clicked shut. Her voice was steady, but her hands weren't. "Long enough." I leaned against the doorframe, suddenly exhausted. "You hope I crash?" "For insurance money." She set down her glass, composing herself. It was remarkable how quickly she transformed, the panic in her eyes replaced by cool calculation. I realized I was seeing the real Sarah for the first time. "You weren't supposed to hear that. Clearly. It's not what you think," she tried, but her heart wasn't in it. We both knew there was no spinning this. "How long?" I asked. She didn't pretend not to understand. 8 months. "With who? Does it matter?" I laughed, a hollow sound. "I guess not. Not anymore." I looked around our kitchen, the matching mugs we'd bought on our honeymoon in Costa Rica, the stupid rooster clock her mother had given us as a housewarming gift, the refrigerator covered in magnets from places we'd visited together. All of it suddenly looked like props on a stage. "Were you ever going to tell me? Or just wait for the right snowstorm?" Her face hardened. "That was a joke, Mark. Dark humor. I wasn't actually wishing for your death. Just my insurance payout." She sighed, suddenly looking very tired. "Our marriage has been over for a while. You just refused to see it." That stung because there was truth to it. I had noticed the growing distance, the way she flinched when I touched her, how our conversations had become nothing but logistics and small talk. I'd attributed it to her new job, the stress of her travel schedule. I'd been telling myself things would improve once we adjusted. "So this is how it ends? Me overhearing you wish for my death. Stop being dramatic." "I didn't. Don't." I held up my hand. "Just don't." I walked over to the counter and picked up my wallet and keys that I'd set down upon arriving. I noticed a suitcase in the corner of the dining room, packed and ready to go. Going somewhere. She didn't answer, which was answer enough. Were you even going to leave a note? Or just disappear? Sarah crossed her arms. I was going to call you once I was settled. How considerate. I headed toward the door, stopping to look at the crushed cake box on the floor. The blue frosting was smeared across the white cardboard. Happy birthday, Sarah. Now a blurry mess. I drove 9 hours through a blizzard for you, I said quietly. I could have died out there today. I didn't ask you to come, she replied. No, you didn't, I agreed, voice hollow. You never asked for much from me, did you? I stepped back into the storm, not even bothering to close the door behind me. Let the snow blow in. Let the cold fill the house. It seemed fitting. The drive back to the motel was a blur. I checked in mechanically, barely registering the sympathetic look from the desk clerk as she took in my shell-shocked expression. I must have looked like hell. 9 hours of white-knuckle driving followed by the complete implosion of my life. That was yesterday. I've spent the last 24 hours alternating between numbness and rage. My phone has been blowing up, 17 missed calls from Sarah, 8 from Jenny, even a couple from mutual friends. I haven't answered any of them. I've been sitting in this motel room, watching the snow continue to fall outside, trying to piece together where it all went wrong. The strangest part is, now that the initial shock has worn off, I'm not as surprised as I should be. Looking back, there were 1,000 little signs. Sarah working late more often. Password changes on her phone. Weekend, work trips, with vague itineraries. New clothes and perfumes that seemed to exist only when she was heading out the door. All classic signs that I willfully ignored because I didn't want to face the truth. But wishing for my death. Insurance money? That's the part one can't reconcile. Did she really hate me that much in the end? Or was it just a callous joke between sisters? I called my friend Mike this morning and explained everything. He offered his guest room for as long as I needed. I've already contacted a lawyer, a college friend who specializes in divorces. He's promised to help me navigate whatever comes next. Sarah texted about an hour ago. I never meant to hurt you. It wasn't what it sounded like. Please come home so we can talk. There's no going back from this. Some bells can't be unrung. Some wounds don't heal. I don't know if I'll ever be able to erase the sound of her voice saying those words. I'm checking out of this motel in an hour, once the roads are fully plowed. I'll head to Mike's place, regroup, start figuring out what life looks like now. The snow has finally stopped, at least. Update. 3 days later since so many people asked for an update. Here's where things stand. I'm staying at Mike's. I've only communicated with Sarah through my lawyer. Turns out she's been having an affair with her boss for almost a year. The suitcase was packed because they had plans to spend her birthday weekend at some cabin upstate. That's why Jenny was there. Moral support for Sarah's plan to finally leave me. As for the insurance comment, Sarah claims it was just dark humor, a terrible joke. Maybe it was. Maybe it wasn't. I'll never really know, and honestly, it doesn't matter anymore. The marriage is over either way. Jenny called yesterday, tearfully apologizing for her role in everything. She said she'd been encouraging Sarah to come clean for months, but admitted she'd known about the affair the whole time. Some sister-in-law she turned out to be. I'm not sure what the future holds. Right now, I'm just taking it one day at a time. The lawyer says the divorce should be straightforward since we don't have kids or many shared assets. Small mercies, I guess. To everyone who reached out with support, thank you. This is by far the worst birthday surprise I've ever delivered, but somehow, I'm going to be okay. The storm, both literal and metaphorical, has passed. Now comes the long process of digging out.